John Hale, go ahead.
Brad, when you went back and watched the film of that Mississippi State game, I think obviously a lot of teams try to drop 8, but as you said last week, you got to tackle. What exactly was going on in the tackling there? Is that something you can address, or is there something bigger happening?
Yeah, obviously, tackling wise, we did not do a good job there. We had 21 missed tackles, and if you put the films back to back, of the year before and this one, that was a big difference, and you heard talk all week, we got to get set up in our drops, and we drifted, too much. And then coming out of those breaks, we didn't, they weren't sharp angles, we rounded stuff. It puts you in a bad position to tackle. And you got to come down with bad intentions, and you've got to really want to go put your face on somebody to tackle players in the SEC. And I don't think that we necessarily did that.
John Clay.
Brad, I think Tennessee leads the nation in plays per minute, very high tempo offense. What sort of challenge is that for you guys?
Yeah, I mean, it's as fast an offense as there is in the country, in terms of how quickly they snap the ball. So obviously that puts a ton of stress on the defense, the communication aspect of it. So our guys have to, get lined up quick, get the quick communication, get the call, identify the formation. They've got a lot of talent, out wide, and those skilled receivers, they're long, they're fast, they make a lot of big plays. The 2 running backs are really doing a great job, of running downhill. 8 does such a good job of hugging linemen, and leaning back into them on all their run plays. He's, a lot of guys are gap sound, but then they miss him. He actually slides right by the tackler who's sitting in his gap, just because of his running style. And then obviously Hooker's doing such a good job in that offense. He's managing it to perfection. He understands where to go with the football. When it's his time to run, he makes big plays with his legs. So it's a huge challenge. It's might be our biggest of the year, from an offensive explosion aspect, and they can get you at any time. There's a lot of points on film where those receivers are behind DBs, and it doesn't matter which team they're playing. So we've got to do a good job, trying to stay on top.
Jeff Drummond.
Brad, they score about half of their points in the first quarter this season. Do you view that from a strategic standpoint as coincidental, or is there a way to address that and approach it?
Well, I think you can't practice. I mean, you can try to simulate as much as you can, that tempo, but it is hard to simulate and to replicate. And they do such a nice job of jumping on teams early with that. And we've got to try to do as good a job of winning early, in the game, winning early downs. And then when we have a chance to get off, that was a big deal, last week was we didn't get off on third when we had some opportunities, especially that first drive of the second half. We had multiple times to get off the field, whether it be third down, whether it be an interception in our hands. Those are plays we have to make if you want to win in the SEC.
Lonnie.
Yeah, Brad. Talk about the improvement of where you are with the nose tackle, especially with Josiah Hayes, and how is he doing as far as getting drawn double team or end up getting off double teams and going to cause some confusion in the backfield? I saw where he got a sack this past week.
Yeah, at that nose guard position, between Justin and Josiah, they're doing a decent job in there. Both of them have things they really need to clean up. Josiah, you asked specifically, Josiah, has the physical tools, and, obviously he had that sack, which was good, early in the first quarter, but he needs to continue to, increase his stamina, his the number of plays he can play, while still straining to the football, tearing off of blocks. So there are a lot of things that he needs to continue to improve upon. And this will be a big game for him. You talk about having to be in great condition, that's where they stress you. And you'll test your wind and your lungs early and often with their pace. And they make you stay on the field because it's hard to sub. So, guys like, that's the hardest on those nose tackles. Like those guys, when you're, well above 300 pounds, it's hard to go 3, 4, 5, 6, plays in a row. And that's why I think it's so vital for us to try to get off the field as quickly as we can. And that kind of goes without saying, but especially against a team like this.
Kent Spencer.
Yeah, Brad, you mentioned that Josiah and Justin have done a decent job, but you guys have been out for a few games now without guys like Marquand and Octavius. How much has that changed what you can do defensively with the unit that you currently have? Have you had to make a lot of adjustments there? Because, for you guys, it always seems like it starts up front.
Yeah, but I think, hey, listen, everybody across the country, deals with adversity, and that's part of football, and that's part of good and great teams adjust to those things, and guys have stepped up. Obviously, do we miss them? Yes, very much so. Just not only their presence, but the depth that they provide, the versatility, like you said, the different things you can do. But that's football, and Justin and Josiah and everybody else that has to step in and play significant snaps since they're not here. That's what we've got to do. So, there's no getting around the fact that, in football, things happen and guys adjust. Coach talks about all the time, the next guy up, and but we are who we are. You have to try to make tweaks to make sure that your personnel fits what you're doing. But at the end of the day, our identity is what it is. And it's about playing fast and physical and tough. And that was what was a little bit disappointing about last week. That was not us.
Adam.
Yeah, Brad, believe Josh Heupel and Jeff Levy worked together at UCF. Any similarities you see in this Tennessee offense compared to the Ole Miss offense you saw last year? And if so, is there any lessons you all can take from kind of matching up with that once already?
Yeah, I obviously the tempo piece, and Coach Heupel and Tennessee is probably arguably faster than what we faced last year in Ole Miss. But I think right now they might be ranked like 1 and 2, in average snap, or whatever it is on the play clock, the highest amount of seconds left on the play clock. But run game wise, I think there's very much some similarities and things that we prepared for in that regard. So yeah, I think there are some things that we can draw on, but at the end of the day, it's about the offensive efficiency that Tennessee is playing with right now, and they're playing at a really high level, and it's going to be, like I said, the biggest challenge to date for us, because it's not just we can talk tempo, but it's about the players they have within the tempo. And the offensive line is nasty and physical up front. Again, the quarterback's super efficient right now. The receivers, are explosive, and the running backs do a really nice job of getting downhill. And when they get in the open field, they can take it the distance. It's not a 5-yard gain that you're going to get for 12. If they crease you between the safeties, they can go for 90. You saw in the Missouri game, Evans went for 92. So,
Larry Vaught.
Yeah, Brad, you talked at the beginning about you have to come with bad intentions to want to make tackles, and I think the yards after catch last week was a pretty extraordinary number. So what do you think caused that to regress last week, and what do you do to make sure that doesn't happen again?
Yeah, the yards after catch, can be a touch deceiving, just from a standpoint that, if you were in a 10-yard drop and the running back caught it, 15, 5 yards behind the line of scrimmage. But the deal is it's that distance to close. It's all right. So you're 10 yards, 12 yards away from a running back that caught a swing pass. We talk about long stride, short stride, getting down, to make the play at the contact point. And it's all right. He's coming full speed at me and I'm going full speed at him. And it's, do I really want it or do I not? Do I want to accept the blow? Do I want to be the hammer? Do I want to be the nail? It doesn't matter what expression you want to say. In this league against the players that you're going to face, do you want to deliver the blow? And it comes down to that. And that's defense. And, the really good ones, they want to strike. And you can see the difference.
Josh Moore.
Hey, Brad. Good. And it's spinning back a few years, but when you all played Hooker in the bowl game, and I know the offense is a lot different, the personnel around him is a lot different, but just what, was he sort of I guess, how would you, going back to that game plan, was he a kind of a focal point back then? And maybe what have you seen from him as far as a quarterback goes, in terms of improvement from then to now?
Yeah, I mean, he was still very much a focal point of their offense back when we played him in the bowl game. I think there's even a higher level of sort of maturity, poise, confidence in the pocket with him right now, that he's playing with. And so again, it's allowing him to play really efficient. I think he's, maybe number 4 in the country right now in, QB efficiency. So he's making the right decisions. He's making big plays in the air. And then when it's time for him to make plays with his legs, he can do it on the design QB runs. Then he can also do it on broken plays. And, when the pocket's starting to collapse, he puts stress on you because he can break the pocket. He's got a really nice arm, so he can still throw it down the field. You got to stay attached to these receivers. But then if you get too attached to receivers, he can make one guy miss and he makes a big play on a scramble. So he puts a lot of stress on you in a lot of different ways.
John Hale.
Right. Obviously, the result wasn't anything you all wanted last week, but how do you feel like that strategy of maybe moving JJ and Trevin around to some different positions to get your best group on the field looked, and is that something you're going to stick with moving forward, I guess?
I don't know. You try to make the best decisions that you can, that you think is going to help. Obviously we didn't, the result, didn't turn out the way we wanted it to. So I guess it's up in the air whether that was the right move or not.
Nick Roush.
You mentioned the tempo earlier, but what kind of stress do their wide splits do to you? What challenges do they present in the run and pass game?
I'm sorry, say it again.
Their wide splits, how do they?
Oh, yeah, the receiver wide splits.
Yes.
Yeah, I was off last week. It was the O-line wide split. So now I'm okay. The receiver. It does. It in a lot of ways, it can force you to show your hand. In terms of the tighter you get, the more you can disguise things. The wider you get. You are where you are, and it pretty clearly defines the box. And so that there are some definite challenges there, not to mention that you don't see those super extended splits that often. So it stresses sort of your alignments, from a defensive back perspective that you're just not used to and comfortable being that far, from the ball or so it presents a unique challenge, something that you don't see week in and week out.
Coach, thank you for your time. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
So if you got questions for DeAndre, go ahead and raise your hand. Adam Luckett.
Yeah, DeAndre, playing against a team that uses this much tempo, how difficult is it, and how big is communication for you all this week?
It could be pretty difficult at times dealing with different body types on the field. Like, you got a D line and you got people that they get tired easily. So it can be tough. It can be hard, but we just got to push through. And we also going to be dealing with our home crowd. It's probably going to be very loud, so we have to communicate, and that's going to be tough also. But we've been practicing really hard on it, so we'll be good.
John Clay.
DeAndre is one of the leaders on this team. What have you and the other guys who are leaders, what have you guys tried to do this week to pick things back up after last Saturday?
We just harped on getting back to how thing was, straining and working hard and fighting for the same cause. I feel like guys started to drift these past 2 weeks or 3 weeks, you can say. But I feel like we all back on the same page and ready to just win again. We're hungry for our 7th win, so we'll be ready.
Josh Moore.
Hey, DeAndre, when you look at how going back to the Belk Bowl when you played Hooker and when he was at Virginia Tech, how is he different now compared to then?
He's still pretty efficient. He's in a new system. I think this system allows him to use his legs a lot more than he did at Virginia Tech. He plays within the system a lot, and he doesn't make a lot of mistakes. So I feel like he's been better and more mature.
How tough is it going up against a guy that Coach White talked about, when plays kind of break down, he has that takeoff ability. I guess, what's the toughest thing playing against a guy like that?
Just knowing when you have him, like knowing when your run fits, when you have to account for the quarterback, which a couple players do each run fit, and just knowing when it's your time, because you don't want to be the guy that you turn around and you see him running 50 yards down the field. So the hardest thing is just knowing your assignment and knowing when you have to eye him and keep tabs on him, because he can break loose at any moment.
Nick Roush.
They like to line up their receivers really wide. How does it challenge you guys, especially in the run game, to make those tackles in open space?
It can be challenging, but we practice for this. We practice tackling every day, and I feel like we have a good tackling team, and I'm very confident in our guys and my ability. So, we just got to make the play.
After a tough outing like last weekend, what has been the message you've been telling your guys?
We just put that behind us and just focus on, like I said, getting that 7th win, getting back to the basics, straining, going back to our identity, and just playing football the right way.
Y'all played pretty well down there last year. Does this game have a little extra juice to it against Tennessee?
Always. A lot of people it's another game on the schedule, but it's a very important one. It's a rivalry game. So, everybody's anxious and ready to play the game. So the guys are pretty juiced up for this one.
Great. DeAndre, thank you for your time. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
We got questions for Josh. Raise your hand. We got one already. Josh, speaking of Josh Moore, go ahead.
Hey, it's a Josh club. It's a good company to be in.
For sure.
When I know you weren't as involved at that time, but when you look at, or at least my memory, I might be wrong, but that's my memory. You were still trying to get full strength. But watching Hooker play now compared to when you guys played against him in the Belk Bowl, what do you see in terms of maybe how his game is different and what maybe makes him a tougher assignment than he was a couple years ago?
I know just with him being in a fast offense, and he's a great athlete as well. He's a great quarterback, good quarterback that we're going to face in SEC. But seeing him handle their offense and lead that offense, I feel like that he's grown in that way. He's grown as a leader, and you can tell that by the way he handles that tempo and administrates everything.
When you're going up against a guy like that who kind of has that breakaway ability when things aren't really going to plan on offense, what do you, I guess, how do you prepare the best for that and try to just stay on top of someone like that?
Yeah, just staying disciplined in your rush lanes, making sure that you don't pop a gap, and making sure that you're at all times you're containing the quarterback. Because if the coverage is good downfield, then he'll be looking to escape somewhere, and if there's no lanes to escape to, then he'll be in trouble. So that's what we're going to have to focus on.
Adam?
Josh, what's the overall mood of the team this week coming off 2 losses? Really, y'all had everything going for you going in the Georgia game, and now you got 2 losses. Do y'all feel like you're in a good position to bounce back this week heading into a big rivalry game?
Yeah, we're ready to play Tennessee. Like, we want to win. Like, that's what we want to do. We're going to go out there, and it's a rivalry game. Like you said, it's a big game for the seniors. This is our last SEC game at home, and it's a big one. So we want to go take care of business, and we're going to go out there hungry and ready to get after it.
Nick?
Just playing Tennessee, does that mean more?
Oh, yes, it does. Just because it's a rival. Every year that we play them is personal. And, you don't want to say like too much. You want to go out there and speak with your pads. So that's what we're going to do.
Lonnie?
Josh, you are playing in the front line with a couple youngsters at the nose tackle spot. And tell me how much they have improved and what you do to help them improve. What kind of instructions you give them in order to for them to be able to improve their position and how they play it.
Yeah, so they're improving good. Each and every practice they're getting better. It's going to come with reps. That's what helps at nose position, at any position, honestly. But just helping them in film review, helping them when they ask me questions of how they should play a certain block or what they should be expecting or a certain information that the offense is getting, and just picking up on tendencies like that. I feel like that's what I've been helping them with. But as far as them getting experience, that's what they're going through right now. But, they're going to be good. They're going to work hard, and they're going to continue to grow each and every week.
John Clay?
Josh, the way you've played this year, are teams playing you any differently now? Are you seeing more double teams than you've seen before?
Yeah, I'm seeing some double teams, but of course, once you start making plays, that's what you expect. It's just something that you gotta deal with, something you gotta fight through. And if you're getting double team, it opens up stuff for other guys on the defense. So, that's the good thing about it. You just got to keep going and keep pushing.
Jeff Drummond? Josh, this Tennessee team has scored about half of its points this year in the first quarter. Do you notice that when you watch film of them, that their offense tends to jump out really hard on people to start the game?
Yeah, I think it's just because that tempo, teams don't get used to that tempo, and they don't expect it to be as fast as it is. But we just have to come out there ready for it. We got to come out there prepared, and I feel like our coaches are doing a great job of preparing us for that. And we're really going to have to win early and often.
All right, no more questions. Josh, thank you for your time. We appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Appreciate y'all.